Okay. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for joining me. We got our double dose getting started here with chapter 12 from The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard, and it's called Subjective Control. Okay, so Mr. Goddard says, attention is attracted from without when you are consciously occupied with the external impressions of the immediate present. The very lines of this page are attracting your attention from without. Okay. So let's see. When your attention is directed from within, you deliberately choose what you will be preoccupied with mentally. Okay, so, and that would be called subjective is internal, objective is external. In the objective world, your attention is drawn to external things, right? He said that, such as objects or things that are objectified, things that you see around you, or it's directed to things around you. Subjectively, your attention is the servant and not the master, he said, the passenger and not the navigator. So instead of having your attention drawn in by something, that kind of comes twinkling out of the corner of your eye, or something catches your attention externally, a chair, a pillow, some luminous sandals you might have. Telling my business. Instead of having that type of thing hold your attention, it's almost like, it is like when you're in meditation and your thoughts come in automatically, unbidden. All kinds of thoughts start jumping off in your head. That would be subjective. So you let that type of thing hold your attention. And he goes on to say, nope, hold on. The ability to change your future is dependent on subjective motion. Okay, so when you're honing the skill of directing your imagination and you're able to focus it, add the feelings to it, and by that method, pull in what it is you're drawing to yourself, what it is you're trying to manifest, your goals, your aspirations. The strength with which you can do that internally from the internals. Okay, so each day, he gives us a practice to use. He said, each day, set yourself the task of deliberately withdrawing your attention from the objective world and of focusing it subjectively. In other words, concentrate on those thoughts and moods which you deliberately determine. Then those things that now restrict you will fade and drop away. So anything, your concerns, ideas that may cause you to feel like you're not able to follow through on certain things, like you don't have the ability to take care of things that you actually do with practice and training. If you feel that you're not able to really get the hang of manifestation, that might be something that causes you to practice less. And that in doing that, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because you're not putting in the practice. You're not gaining the strength to be able to do it on a regular basis. So by focusing internally on your goals, the feeling of each detail related to having it right now, it's actually setting the stage for it to be your present sometime down the line. And how fast it comes, once again, is dependent on the strength of your ability to hold that energy, to hold the feeling, to hold the imagery, and make that a daily practice. Okay. So let's see. In other words, he says, concentrate on those thoughts or moods which you deliberately determine, then those things that now restrict you will fade and drop away. The day you achieve control of movements of your attention in the subjective world, you are master of your fate. You will no longer accept the dominance of outside conditions or circumstances, and you will not accept life on the basis of the world without. So you basically be, excuse me, you'll be operating as a rogue in a society that goes along with the programming that we've been given from the time that we were younger. Expect to be looked at how we tend to look at free thinkers. Oh, that's the different one over there. Yeah, being different can be okay. It can be absolutely okay if it takes you away from being one of the sheeple. Okay. Think of the poem by Robert Frost, The Road Less Traveled. Um, he said, by choosing that road less traveled, it has made all the difference in the quality of his life. He didn't have the same type of experiences that everybody else had. By taking the road less traveled, he was able to branch out and experience things that other people couldn't even dream of, essentially. Basically, so you're trying to put yourself in a position um, to navigate your own circumstance, to operate outside of the programming, to have the experience you want to have if you're able to, when you're able to have an unchained imagination. Okay, so decide your focus, your thoughts, your mood. You are conditioned to let external stimuli determine your thoughts, your emotions, and opinions. Constant input from media, and this is my notes now, constant input from media by advertisers and opinion pieces that are given to you as journalism, which we know, depending on the station that you're watching, it's not authentic journalism, it's an opinion piece because they're pushing a certain agenda, depending on, who they're in support of. Have guided, let's see, input from media has guided many of us to make health decisions, to make political decisions, to make fashion decisions, and life decisions of other kinds. Once you recognize how you have been turned or groomed into a sheep for business purposes or for governmental purposes, you know, who's giving you the programming? What benefit do they gain from you accepting this program? What kind of behavior can they expect from you when you fall in line with the given program? Okay, that's their end goal. That's not your end goal. You probably haven't even thought about having an end goal besides, paying your next set of bills. Okay, this is a way of upgrading from that. As I'm thinking about it, not to be another form of propagandist, but if you look up memes from Jim Carrey and Keanu Reeves, you'll see that they have branched out to be some of these rogue people. It's very interesting. They've let go of the programming and they have a different viewpoint of a lot of things. Okay, so for business purposes, for governmental purposes, is the reasoning behind the grooming that we've received from the time we were children. Okay? But now, once you recognize that this is what's going on, you can decide what gets inputted into your mind. This is the opportunity to see the benefits of unplugging, to see the benefits of studying things outside of what you've been given. If you're familiar with how the educational system was developed, particularly in the United States, it was to develop the next generation of workers, not the next generation of CEOs, not the next generation of entrepreneurs. That type of information, you normally have to search it up yourself, okay? Because that's not the type of thing, even in a business program at a university, until recently, some universities have taken on courses related to teaching people the fundamentals of entrepreneurship. But that was not the case up until maybe the last 20 years or so, if that long. So let's see. We can unplug and examine who benefits from the different messages we are given daily. It is standing back and withholding our participation so we can see the forest, the trees, the grass, the bushes, flying wildlife, air vehicles, planes, helicopters, the shifting weather patterns. Oftentimes, we're so distracted with what's immediately in front of us that we don't notice the other things. Now, I've been in groups or I've seen posts because of who I subscribe to that point out, whenever there's a major news story that everybody seems to be covering, they point out, it's a distraction tactic. This is a brand new distraction tactic. What's going on behind the scenes that they don't want us to pay attention to? Okay, if there were certain social events going on, what kind of legislation is being pushed through that they don't want us paying attention to so that they can go ahead and pass it and restrict our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? It's not just conspiracy theory stuff. If you dig deep enough, you'll start to see it. And a lot of people don't dig because they don't want to be aggravated by the truth of what's really going on. I'm going to say this one last thing and then I'm getting off my soapbox and getting back to the business at hand, talking about subjective control for our purposes of what we're here for. Well, I guess that's going to be it because I lost my point. So let me go on in my notes. You become the master of your fate. The dominance of external conditions and circumstances will no longer be a factor for you. Your imagination will move into the forefront, navigating around the programming in order to put your ideas in motion and draw your desire to you. Open the doors and move the pieces into place so that you can experience your goals and dreams, your ideals. Okay? Let me think of what that last point might have been. See, sometimes I just need to jump in and say it and clean it up later. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and put them below. If not, I am going to move along. Being too close to a situation. Here's a real life example from what I've experienced and what I've been told from a different angle. Okay, my background, for over 20 years has been Islam. Okay, so every year we have Ramadan, right? That is an opportunity to separate yourself from just doing things out of habit. Okay, when Ramadan comes around, that's 30 days and 29 nights, something like that, because it fluctuates. It goes with the moon cycles. The lunar calendar, excuse me, the lunar calendar. You hopefully should be restraining from cursing, from lying, eating and drinking during the daylight hours, backbiting, anything that takes you away from the remembrance of the Most High. So that's also a month to focus on your spiritual relationship with the Creator. Okay. I was told in a lecture that the experience of people who are incarcerated during Ramadan, Muslims who are incarcerated during Ramadan, normally there's a bell for each thing that you're supposed to move on to, or there's an announcement for each thing, whatever, however the day is set up. There's notifications that, Assalamu alaikum. There are notifications that let you know what the next thing you're supposed to be doing is. They tell you when to eat, they tell you when to sleep, they tell you when to shower, when to go on the yard to get some air. But when you're fasting, you don't have the energy to do certain things like, a whole lot of walking around, a whole lot of working, unless you're just conditioned to do so, because there are athletes who continue to fast during Ramadan, and it might be their, playoff season or whatever. Hakeem Olajuwon was known for that type of thing, and it didn't slow him down at all. It probably sharpened his focus. But to be in a situation like that and not be eating when everyone else is eating, not be participating in the same recreational activities that other people are participating in, it's a real, almost like a culture shock. It's a social separation, so you get to notice how much you're conditioned into behaving in certain ways. Everybody who's not incarcerated at the time, it's a similar, maybe less jarring experience, because you kind of set up your own day, and that's the only difference, having your day set up for you and deciding what it is you're going to do each day. But times when you would normally take a snack, there's no snacking. Times when you would normally drink coffee, tea, have a bottle of water with you, you don't have these things in hand to, carry you through your day. It's almost a mindless habit for 11 months. And then you change that up for 1 month out of the year. It's enlightening. Part of what's encouraged is to let the fasting make you feel what it is, to have you feel what it's like to not be able to have food. I mean, you may know it's in your refrigerator, but for people who don't have a refrigerator, for people who don't have food readily available for them, is to make you more sympathetic, so that you're more of a humanitarian. You're more inclined to take care of other people during the other 11 months of the year. Focusing subjectively, how does that make you feel? What kind of adjustment? It's almost like an awakening process. It's a different awakening process when you're separating yourself from the given programming. And so I would encourage you to continue to practice. If you go back and see the videos that I put up for the previous chapters, Mr. Goddard always talks about you have your goals, there's details involved, and it's an exercise of your imagination. Imagination is not just for kids. It's not just for artists. It's for us out here designing our lives. And as much as you can think of things, if you had no chains on your mind, if you had no mental blocks as to what you're able to do, what you're able to have, what you're able to get into, what type of things would you plan? Write it down. I think I mentioned a few videos back that Steve Harvey suggested writing down 300 things. If there was a no holds barred that you could do in the course of your life, this is a 300-part bucket list. What would you write down? And he said that you could expect to slow down around number 75. Now, 75 out of 300, that's pretty early. I'm going to tell you the truth. I slowed down in the 40s, and I've been pushing through. As things pop into my head, I write it down. So I've inched up into the 70s in the last week. I'm still writing my list, but I'm not giving up, okay? And so, there is a guy. Let me look him up real quick because I saw him just a couple days ago. He is like a master manifester. Give me a moment. Let me look him up. I might leave it in the comment section later. The link to the video with him, because it was so exciting to see that he just has this natural habit. He writes down everything that he wants to do, even things like working with Oprah. He said he wrote down that he wanted to work with Oprah, and how it ended up happening. He ran into somebody, a friend of a friend, who was the program manager for Oprah, or they were getting ready to meet the program manager of Oprah. And, introductions happen in such a short order that he was able to have her company do, work with him on one or two projects that he had in the works. But because he wrote it down, he spoke it into the air, and he felt it so strongly, it's like he has a natural level of excitement that it pushed him into having that and many other experiences. I'm going to leave the link down below once I'm finished. So come back and look for it. So I'm trying to remember his name, and I didn't have it pulled up automatically. So with that, I'm going to end this video, and then we're going to go on to chapter 13. Give me a couple minutes to set that up, and I will be back. Thank you for joining me. If you want to contact me directly, the best way to do that is at pullyourpowerback@gmail.com. Okay. If you have any commentary, you can leave it down below. And please like, subscribe, share, and keep the party going. All righty. Later.